Okay, let's dive into this. Welcome to our latest explainer. Keeping complex, modern systems running smoothly can honestly feel a bit like magic sometimes. But today, we're demystifying all of that. We are unpacking a comprehensive, seven-part foundational guide based entirely on the absolutely fantastic Observability Zero to Hero GitHub repository by Abhishek Viramala. When I was looking through this repo, I realized just how brilliantly it takes these incredibly dense technical concepts and breaks them down into crystal clear, actionable insights.
So here's our mental map for the explainer today. We'll start off with a quick course overview, followed by the what, why, and how of it all. Then we'll hit the three pillars: observability versus monitoring, real-world SLAs, and finally, whose responsibility is it anyway? Today is all about cementing those core fundamentals before we get our hands dirty later on.
Section 1. Course Overview, Zero to Hero. Let's move to and see how this builds into the structured syllabus we'll be tackling over the next 7 segments of this series.
Our roadmap here is ambitious, but it's incredibly logical. Today is day 1, which means strictly the fundamentals. Days 2 through 4, that's when we get hands-on with Prometheus, PromQL, custom metrics, and wiring it all up into some beautiful Grafana dashboards. Day 5 tackles logging using the EFK stack, so Elasticsearch, FluentBit, and Kibana. By day 6, we're conquering distributed tracing with Jaeger and OpenTelemetry. And finally, on day 7, we explore the totally revolutionary space of eBPF and how it is literally changing the observability game. It's a full journey from the very basics to advanced operations.
Section 2. The what, why, and how. Core theory. Before we install a single tool, we need to know what we actually mean when we proudly declare that a system is observable.
Okay, textbook definition time. Observability is the ability to understand the internal state of a system based entirely on its outputs. But let's take that out of the textbook for a second. Essentially, this is just about your ability to see inside the black box. Can you look at the raw data your system spits out and know immediately, without guessing, if things are working perfectly or if they are silently failing in the background? And notice that the definition specifically mentions the system. Because observability isn't just about your specific application code. No, it's the whole shebang. It's tracking your infrastructure to see if your Kubernetes node CPU is suddenly maxed out on 100%, or if a disk is just sitting there severely underutilized. It's keeping a constant, steady pulse on your networking to see if latency is spiking or if HTTP requests are just dropping into the void. It's about achieving complete 360-degree visibility.
Section 3. The three pillars: metrics, logs, and traces. So the crucial point is, how do we actually gather all this information? Well, to master this concept, you just need to internalize this ultimate mnemonic.
If you take only one thing away from this explainer, let it be this. First up, metrics. Metrics answer the question, what is the state? They give you the hard, historical data. Think about tracking CPU load or seeing that exactly 10 HTTP requests failed in the last 30 minutes. Second, we have logs. Logs answer the question, why is it happening? They give you the context. So you use your metrics to see a weird spike at 10 a.m., right? Then you dive straight into your logs to find out that a specific package caused a memory leak at that exact minute. Third, traces. Traces answer the question, how do we fix it? A trace maps the exact, granular path a single request took. Did it leave the client, hit the load balancer, successfully reach the front end, but then stalled out for 5 milliseconds trying to reach the database backend? Traces let you map that exact journey. So remember, metrics tell you what broke, logs tell you why it broke, and traces tell you how it traveled.
Section 4. Observability versus monitoring. The key differences. Let's pivot just a bit to bust a really common industry myth, one that actually comes up in job interviews all the time.
So are monitoring and observability the exact same thing? Absolutely not. People use them interchangeably, but actually scratch that, they shouldn't. Monitoring focuses solely on that very first pillar we just talked about, metrics. If you have historical CPU data, a Slack alert set up for when that CPU hits 80%, and a slick Grafana dashboard displaying it, well, you have monitoring. Observability, on the other hand, is the complete, continuous feedback loop. It requires all three pillars working together in harmony. Monitoring is really just a subpart of observability. You need the whole package to get truly continuous feedback on your entire architecture.
Section 5. Real-world SLAs, the business value. Let's bring this theory into the real world. Why on earth would a company spend vast amounts of time and money setting up this elaborate three-pillar system? And this brilliantly illustrates the business value of observability. Let's imagine you're working at a startup. You built an incredible resume builder application. You deployed it on AWS using Kubernetes, and now it is time to sell it.
To win those big enterprise customers away from your competitors, your startup has to sign a strict service level agreement, or SLA. And in that SLA, you're forced to make some massive promises.
First up, you guarantee 99.9% platform availability. Your app essentially cannot go down, period.
Second, to really impress the client, you write into the contract that out of every 10,000 HTTP requests sent to your app, 9,995 of them must return a successful 200 status code in under 30 milliseconds. To put that into perspective, you only have an error budget of 5 slow or failed requests before you literally break the contract.
So I have to ask you, how do you plan to keep those promises? Because waiting for a customer to complain on Twitter that the app is slow is absolutely not an option. Whether you are running a resume app, Instagram, Facebook, or a banking app that suddenly takes 20 seconds to load instead of 5, you need to know about the problem way before the user does, and definitely before you breach your contract.
And this is exactly where observability becomes the hero of the story. Think about the life cycle of a potential disaster here. In step 1, a minor issue crops up, and maybe 1 to 3 initial requests fail or slow down past that 30-millisecond mark. In step 2, because you have a robust observability platform, your continuous feedback system instantly alerts the team that a negative trend is starting to form. Finally, in step 3, developers use their logs and traces to find the root cause and deploy a fix before the failure ever hits that critical 5-request threshold. You save the error budget, you keep the SLA completely intact, and your customer stays happy.
Section 6. Who is responsibility? Devs, DevOps, or SREs? We've seen how powerful this is, but let's settle a massive, ongoing debate in the industry. Who actually has to do the heavy lifting to build this system?
Seriously, who owns observability? Is it strictly the developers who are writing the code? Is it the DevOps engineers spinning up the servers? Or is it the site reliability engineers guarding the uptime with their lives?
Now, what's really interesting about this slide is that the truth is it's totally a two-way street. On the one hand, developers absolutely must instrument the code. They're the ones in the trenches writing the info, debug, and error logs. They emit the custom metrics and implement OpenTelemetry for traces right inside the app. But on the other hand, DevOps and SREs have to build the infrastructure to actually catch all that data. They set up Prometheus to scrape the metrics, configure the ELK stack to aggregate the logs, and run Jaeger to visualize those traces. Because think about it, without developers throwing the metrics, the DevOps tools have absolutely nothing to scrape. And without DevOps building the infrastructure, the developers' logs just vanish into the void.
To sum it up perfectly, observability is always a collective effort. Developers, operations, SREs, and management. Everybody has to work together seamlessly to build a true, functional, continuous feedback loop.
And that brings us to the end of day 1. You know the what, the why, the how, and the high stakes involved. The foundations are totally set. The only question left is your team ready to instrument your very first metrics? Because in the next segment of our Explainer series, we are getting our hands dirty and installing Prometheus to do exactly that. You definitely won't want to miss it.
Catch you next time.